friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction being the yo 758. Tight in that neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, it is our favorite day of the week. Once again, my friends. So y'all know that we about to go back to the man. We about to go back to the myth. We about to go back to the legend. MrBallen. Back to MrBallen Bean Team on another good Sunday. And the title of the video is Top 3 Places You Can't Go. Horrific Tragedy Caught on Tape. Well, let's see what MrBallen got caught on tape for us this time, Bean Team. But before we see, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need, please. We are back to the man, the myth, the legend. MrBallen. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
Today, we're going to look at 3 places you can't go and people who went there anyways. But before we get into those stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do and we upload once a week. So if that's of interest to you, please sneak into the like button's doomsday bunker and remove all the labels on their canned goods so they have no idea what they're eating. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's stories.
Balling!
Late on the night of Friday, September 18th, 2015, a 45-year-old man named Lattori Barman stumbled down a pitch-black street in a small village in central India. Lattori was stumbling because he was very, very drunk. He and his wife had spent most of the night together out at this local fair, having loads to drink and partying. And then at some point, his wife had actually broken off and gone to her parents' house in another village. But Lattori had decided to stay out and keep the fun rolling. And so once she was gone, Lattori had gone to a liquor store and had more to drink there. And then now he had finally decided he had had enough. He was extremely intoxicated and he just wanted to get back home. And so as
he's probably too damn drunk to even know what a freak he is or what a freak he going now, Bean Team. He might not even make it back home.
Lattori stumbled down this road, he could really only see maybe a foot in front of him. Not only because he was so drunk, but also because the streets in his village did not have lights, and so it was totally dark. However, this wasn't unusual for Lattori. I mean, this is where he lived. He'd walked the street many, many times and knew how to navigate without any lighting. And so he just continued walking along, business as usual. But what did strike him as odd is that, late at night here, as he's making his way home, he thought it was weird that there was a lot of people out on the road. He couldn't really see them because, again, there's no lighting, but he could definitely hear them. Like there was people sort of all over the place, and he also sort of in his intoxicated state saw some lights that, maybe were vehicles sort of moving around. So there was like more activity on this road than usual. But at the same time, this is a main road, and sometimes there's lots of people and cars on it, even late at night. So
time out, Bean Team. Now y'all know I gotta throw a crazy prediction out there. What if this man is so freaking drunk till he done went back to the freaking fair? You know what I'm saying? What if he walking around the fair and finna walk onto a freaking roller coaster and get hit or something? I don't freaking know. I'm just throwing it out there. Let's go.
This didn't really strike him as odd enough to stop and investigate. He just kept on walking towards his house. But as he's walking through with all this commotion all around him, at some point he goes to step, But instead of his foot striking the ground again, there's nothing there. And suddenly he feels himself falling and he smashes into the ground, and now truly it's pitch black. He can't see anything, and he blacks out. The following morning, a group of villagers were walking down the same street that Latore had been on the night before, and as they were walking, now in broad daylight, they looked up ahead and they noticed something odd right in the middle of the street. And at first they had no idea what it was, and so they walked closer to it to get a better look. And as they walked up on this thing, they instantly understood what it was, and they screamed and ran to tell authorities. It would turn out the reason Latore was hearing and seeing all these people and vehicles on the street the night before, which seemed sort of out of place, was because there was actually a construction crew repairing potholes in that road. This road was known for being very dangerous because of these deep potholes. And Latore, as he was stumbling along, accidentally fell into one of these deep potholes, smashed the ground, and was knocked unconscious. And because this worksite was so chaotic and there was all this, movement and there was bad lighting, none of the crew saw Latore fall in. And Latore, even after, coming to inside the hole, was too drunk to get out of the hole. And so at some point that night, the construction crew reached the pothole that Latore was in. They didn't see him, and they poured molten tar into the hole and then rolled over it with a roller, all with Latore inside the hole. And so after they were done and moved on to the next pothole, Latore, in his final moments, tried to kind of pull himself out of this tar, but he only managed to get his hand up and out of the tar. And so the next day, the group of villagers that walked down the road, what did they see? They saw Latore's hand poking out of the ground. Latore's body was removed from the street and he was given a proper burial. There were 2 construction workers who were on duty on the night of Latore's death, who were ultimately arrested and charged with culpable homicide. As for Latore's family, authorities would give them a compensation payment for Latore's death, but it was only worth approximately $760 US.
$760? Well, I guess over there that's a lot of freaking money, but over here that ain't shit. Long story short, story long, being team. But rest in peace, Latore. And I will admit that my prediction or whatever was freaking way off base. You know what I'm saying? I was completely wrong about this one. I'm thinking like he went back to the fair because MrBallen was talking about it was people around and vehicles. Which I was thinking maybe Latore was so drunk that he was thinking it was vehicle, but those really was the rides at the fair. But I don't know, at the beginning, MrBallen probably said the fair had ended anyway. He did say it was late at night. Yeah, that was a dumb prediction by me, being team. I will admit that. But this is crazy that this man just walked into a pothole and tried to get out, and the only thing that was seen above the street was his freaking hand. Rest in peace, man. Sad way to freaking go out. And I wonder, did the construction workers ever even see him? You know what I'm saying? When he was walking down the street, MrBallen did say that they ain't got street lights in their village, which for me is so freaking crazy. But oh my God, man, just rest in peace, y'all. Let's go to the next one.
Last year, we launched
MrBallen commercial. Yeah, that was a crazy way to start off, being team. Let's keep going. Let me take it back right here. Let's go.
The Wondery app. Okay, back to the stories.
Back to it.
Around 2:30 p.m. on November 28, 2015, a man pulled into his driveway in the extremely rural city of Huron, California. He had been away overnight, and so as soon as he got out of his car, he walked right up to his porch and checked his doorknob to make sure his door was still locked. He found that it was, which was a relief. Then he unlocked it and stepped inside. However, as soon as he was inside his house, he just stopped and listened and kind of looked around. So this neighborhood that he lived in was not a safe place to live. In fact, over the past year, this guy's house had been broken into multiple times. However, he had not reported any of these break-ins to the police because he himself was wanted for felony drug possession. And so instead of getting the police involved, the man had sort of begun doing his own home security. Basically, every time he came home, he would sort of take a minute, listen, make sure nobody was in the house, and then actually sweep the house to make sure, nobody was there and that nothing had been stolen. And so as the man stood there in his doorway listening, He couldn't hear anything, and nothing looked disturbed inside of his house. So he flipped on the lights, he walked into his living room and put his keys and his wallet down. And then he began doing this kind of systematic sweep through his house, checking to make sure there was nothing wrong. Checked the windows, none were broken, goes to the back door, it's still locked. He's in his kitchen, he's in, his dining room, there's nothing out of place. He did notice, however, that his mail that was sitting on one of his tables looked like maybe it had been rummaged through, but at the same time, he couldn't remember if maybe he had been kind of sloppy when he had gone over his mail before he had left the night before. So he didn't know if the mail was a sign of a break-in, but it didn't seem like it. And so after completing his sweep and feeling confident that the house was, in good order, he sat down and he relaxed. And he felt like—
And even though MrBallen saying that he done checked everything, you know what I'm saying, ain't nobody in there, I still feel like somebody freaking in there, man, or was in there before he got home. I don't know. Let's find out. Maybe some. Do he got a chimney? Somebody might be stuck in the chimney, BT. Let's go.
Like, you know what? It had been a while since the last break-in, and maybe he was being a bit too paranoid. But for now, he decided, his security protocol was good enough, and he wouldn't make any changes quite yet. And he just picked up the remote, turned on the TV, and settled in for the night. However, after only a couple of minutes, the man realized his house was pretty cold, and he was starting to shiver. So he stood up, and he walked over, and he turned on his heat, and then he sat back down on his couch. And then, about a minute later, this awful, high-pitched scream ripped through the house. It would turn out the homeowner's paranoia around break-ins was totally justified, because the night before, while he was gone, someone had tried to break into his home. 19-year-old Cody Caldwell had snuck onto the roof and attempted to enter this man's house through the chimney, but he got stuck about halfway down. And when the man came home and did his safety patrol and checked his house and couldn't hear or see anything, what he didn't realize was Cody was still absolutely stuck in the chimney and alive. He just wasn't making any sound. And then when the homeowner got cold and turned on the heat, what he literally did was he started an actual fire in his fireplace. And after setting this fire, Cody, who's wedged in the chimney right above this fire, began breathing in the smoke, and in his panic, he began to wiggle around and sink further and further down into this chimney, which is angled, and so he would have gotten more and more stuck until he was basically in the fire and then caught on fire. That scream was him burning alive inside of the chimney. And the man who owned the house had no idea what was going on. He just heard these screams. And then finally, when he got the fire put out and he called the police and the first responders showed up, it was already too late.
Damn.
Because Cody had died from severe burns and smoke inhalation.
Well, I called that one, didn't it, Bean T? Hey, man, but I ain't expect him to die. I thought he was going to be able to be saved. You know what I'm saying? But it's just so crazy of how many freaking stories we have heard from MrBallen of people getting stuck in chimneys. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your next door neighbors, strangers, whoever. Whenever you're at work and you're just having, casual conversations with your coworkers and y'all get to talking about chimneys or whatever, just say, hey, man, don't never go down one. Don't never think you can go down a chimney, because people actually be thinking they can go down those things, man, and they end up getting stuck every time, and it's one of the worst ways to die. That's the first time I think I've heard of a MrBallen story where the dude was still alive and the dude actually started his fire up in his fireplace, and the dude started screaming. Most of the time the people just never be found until after they done died, days or weeks or months later, you know what I'm saying, and they body still stuck in the damn chimney. This was freaking crazy, Bean Team. Let's go to the last one. Another MrBallen Good Sunday.
On the evening of January 19th, 2022, a 40-year-old mother named Anna Uskova set up a camera and some lights at the edge of a clearing in the woods in St. Petersburg, Russia. Then she focused the camera on the spot in the clearing where she, her husband, and her children were about to perform a very important religious ceremony. So to set the scene here, it was late at night, so it's dark, it was snowing, it's totally freezing. This is the dead of winter out in the middle of Russia. This is a cold, cold environment, but this is when this ceremony was done. In the dead of winter, all over Russia. This was not just something Anna's family was doing, this is like a Russian thing. On this day, all over the country, people would perform this sort of purification ritual that was designed to revitalize their bodies and souls and help them ward off evil spirits for the new year. Now, typically, Anna and her family would perform this big ceremony in a group setting with their church. But this year, Anna decided she wanted to hold this ceremony privately, with just her family kind of out in the woods by themselves. It would be more intimate, and the kids would feel, a bit more involved than they normally did. And so far, it was going great. They had found the perfect location. It was stunningly beautiful. I mean, it really felt like the best place to perform the ceremony. But it was kind of odd that when they got there, there was no other families there. I mean, they had this place to themselves, which was just crazy, but they thought, great, this is even better for us. This is gonna be the perfect ceremony. So while Anna's—
Yeah, I don't think this ceremony finna go like they thinking it's finna go, Bean Team.
husband finished prepping everything they would need, Anna hit record on the camera, and then Anna walked out from behind the camera, and you see her come into frame, and she walks over to her kids. And now her kids are gonna be performing this ritual the same way Anna and her husband would be, and it's clear they're pretty nervous. Now, they've done this before, but still, this ritual is not very comfortable. It doesn't feel very good, at least in the moment. And so Anna knew this, and so she knelt down with her kids, and she kind of reassured them that they were brave, they were courageous, they could do this, and she was gonna go first. And they could see that, once mom did it, they would know that they could do it too. And so at some point, after kind of giving her kids a pep talk, Anna stood up, she walked over to the area that was designated for this ceremony, and then as the camera's rolling, she stood there, she drew a cross on her chest, then she stepped forward and kind of jumped feet first, and then disappeared.
Oh my God. I remember this, Bean Team, from the Lazy Man. Lazy Masquerade, I think. This is crazy.
No sign of Anna, and that was okay. But then 2 seconds passed, and there was still no sign of Anna. And then 3 seconds passed, and still no Anna. And at that point, her husband and her kids began to scream. So what Anna and her family didn't understand, or at a minimum just did not fully appreciate, was that when they did this ceremony with their church every year, the church took a lot of effort to make sure the location they chose for the ceremony, that it was totally safe. And on top of that, they often had medical personnel on standby, just in case. But Anna and her family had not done either of those things. The location they chose was no doubt stunningly beautiful, but the reason it was deserted is it was a terrible spot for this ceremony. And then also, they didn't have any medical personnel on standby. The ceremony that Anna and her family were taking part in is known as the Russian Orthodox Epiphany, and it's a type of baptism. Basically, people all over Russia at this time of the year will carve a cross-shaped hole in the ice over a body of water, and then one by one, they'll jump into the water and then emerge again, baptized, purified. And so Anna and her family had done that. They'd carved the cross in this frozen body of water. But the reason this spot was a terrible spot to do this ceremony and why it was totally deserted is because they had chosen a raging river. That yes, it's frozen, but underneath, that river is still flowing, and it's a very deep river. And so the second Anna stepped into the water feet first, she got swept away. But they didn't have a way for her to re-emerge. It's all frozen ice. And so the second she went under into the pitch black water, she was gone. And within a couple of seconds, her family is expecting her to come back up again, but of course she didn't. And so they began screaming, and Anna's husband actually leapt into the water, but he actually stopped himself really quickly because he felt that current pulling him. And so he got out, and very quickly, a search was launched for Anna, but there was no hope. They couldn't find her, and in fact, to this day, they still have not recovered her body.
Yeah, that's a tragic one right there, Bean Team. That one kind of give me chills just thinking about the way she ended up passing away. You know what I'm saying? Jumping in that water, and before she can even think, was swept away by that freaking current, man. And more than likely, she ain't even survived that long up under there. I'm thinking she drowned very quickly. I can talk, Bean Team. I think she drowned very quickly, man. But as soon as I seen the video, I was like, I hadn't seen this before. And I think it came from Lazy Masquerade, but I forgot about the story and how it went, all about the ritual and all that. MrBallen did a great job of explaining this whole ritual. And I'm glad that out, and I'm being all serious when I say this, you know what I'm saying? I'm glad that she at least told her kids that she was gonna go first. You know what I'm saying? It would have been even worse if the kids would have went first. Like, oh my God, it's still bad though, y'all. That's a effed up one right there. Seriously. Number two, I predicted that one, big. So I'm like, do the man got a chimney? Cause somebody still in here, even though MrBallen was telling us about how the dude and checked over and over and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I thought he was gonna survive, but he died, man. He died. I wish he would have started screaming as soon as he heard that dude come up in the house like, hey, help me, I'm stuck. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm trying to break in your house, I'm stuck in your chimney. Can you please call 911 and get me out? Seriously, but that ain't the case, man. He waited till the fireplace got started, then started screaming. Oh man, that's a tough one too, y'all. And the first one is so freaking tragic that the dude just walked into a freaking pothole, and his construction workers around him that didn't see him, they cover it back up, and he tried to get out, and then those people the next morning just see his hand stuck with cement, you know what I'm saying, all around it. That's a crazy scene to wake up to and walk outside, y'all, and see the street with a hand sticking out of it. Rest in peace to him too, man. That's the one I got rolled to. I don't know why. I thought like, dude, maybe he gone back to the fair and he's so drunk he don't realize where he is, and he about to walk onto a fair on the Ferris wheel and jump off or something. I don't know, being team. I don't freaking know. But I do know that this was another good MrBallen Sunday. And I digress. I'm gonna go let y'all go. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. And before you leave, just please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this: love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.
If you're feeling lonely today, come along and throw your cares away.